What's up guys, Zami here and you're watching Heavy Metal Pomp. Today I've got another pomade review for you. Initially I was going to review the Nostalgic Grooming matte water based, but recently Nostalgic Grooming has revised their entire lineup, which includes reformulating most of them and also discontinuing several of them, which includes the matte water base and the all base pomade which I recently reviewed. Basically that means that the all base pomade review that I put up is pretty much redundant now and I don't really need to review the matte water base either, but if you want to see me review it, just let me know down below. And with that out of the way, we can get into the actual review, and for today we're going to be looking at Flagship's Traditional Pomade. Now this is a non-petro all-base pomade with a medium hold, and without further ado, we're going to take a closer look at the jar right now. And here we have the Flagship Traditional Pomade. Comes in a 4-ounce plastic jar, has this gunmetal colored label around the side with the brand and product name. You get ingredients on one side, and the scent and directions on the other side as well. The overall presentation is pretty simple, but I think it looks really nice and clean. And if you open it up, you get this yellowish pomade inside. The scent is black pepper bergamot, and it smells really good. It's like a peppery, fresh scent. If you're not a fan of pepper, you might not like it. Personally, I think it's a really nice smell, and it's also fairly prominent, so you're gonna notice it throughout the day. Now scooping it out, as it is a non-petro all-base pomade, I'm gonna scoop out the top layer just to show you how it is. You definitely need some pressure, but as you can tell, it still comes out. It's not really that difficult, and I'm not even using the back of my nail. Breaking it down, it's really nice, smooth, not really getting any beading at all, if any. Just really smooth and slick, and going into the hair, really nice. There's hardly any tugging or pulling whatsoever as well. As you can tell, I'm applying into completely dry hair, not really getting any tugging or pulling, but if you do face some difficulties, you can always apply in slightly towel dried hair. It's not an issue. Like I mentioned earlier, the scent is pretty prominent. You mostly get that pepper over the bergamot, and it just smells really awesome. And the scent, I'd say, is a lowish, maybe slightly medium shine. You don't get a lot of shine from this, but it's definitely not matte either. Flicking it back, goes through pretty easily. There is a slight amount of resistance, but it's really not bad as you can tell. It doesn't feel overly greasy, but it still has a nice amount of slickness and stickiness to keep everything nice and tight. Gonna style my hair now. Talk to you again in a bit. And I think I'm pretty much just gonna call that done. So as you can tell, I'm getting a good amount of height. My sides are holding down really nicely. This pomade has a good amount of slickness to keep everything nice and tight, getting that low to medium shine, and the scent is subtle but present. So anyways, let's talk more about the Traditional Pomade. Now correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the Flagship Streamline pomades are an in-house formula that is mass-produced in a lab. I think there's a few that's still made in-house, but I believe that the Traditional Pomade has already been handed over to the lab for mass production. Irregardless, the formula is still from Flagship, so doesn't really matter, does it? Now I don't have much experience with Flagship. The only product from them I've ever used is Blackship, so I was really keen to see how they do an all-base pomade. Also, this is marketed as an easy wash all-base pomade, so I was really curious to see how that works. By now, I've tried a few easy wash all-base pomades. I've tried the one from Lockhart's, Templeton Tonic's Atlas, and even though they are great pomades, I don't really think that they did the easy wash part that well. The Traditional Pomade, however, really checks all the boxes for me. Now scooping out the pomade, I will admit it's not the easiest, but it's still relatively easy compared to other non-petro all-base pomades. Plus, scooping it out is pretty much the only hurdle you're gonna face, cause breaking it down and applying it to the hair, really easy. Styling with it is also really pleasant. You get a good amount of control to get a nice amount of height and shape. You also get a nice amount of slickness and stickiness to keep everything nice and tight without it feeling overly greasy. The whole, I definitely feel, is a true medium. It's not anything less, it's not anything more. It's just at that nice sweet spot. The pomade does settle in your hair just a little bit, but it definitely doesn't firm up like a gel type. You can also expect a good amount of endurance with this. Even though it's not anything out of the ordinary, it's still gonna hold up pretty well throughout the day. And I think the best part about this pomade is the washout. You don't even need to shampoo cause one rinse gets everything out. Not even the slightest buildup gets left behind, and your hair doesn't feel dried out and lifeless. So anyways, final verdict on Flagship's Traditional Pomade. I give it a 4.5 out of 5. I think that this is one of the few easy wash all-base pomades that's actually easy to wash. It's also a really nicely balanced medium hold oil-based pomade, and even though the scoop is a little bit tough, it's really not that bad. If they made something similar with a firm hold, I'd probably just lose my mind. Whether you're new or old to pomades, this is a good option for people looking for the performance of an oil-based pomade without the washout of one. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Hope you liked the review. Do leave a comment down below, subscribe to my channel right here, or you can check out my last video right here. I'll see you again soon. Thanks for watching.